say goodbye.
It's hard to say I miss you.
The time of love
Is a gruesome cruise.
I need you now, dear Lord.
The invisible umbilical cord between a grandma and a granddaughter is so strong that its breaking may cause a lot of pain. Today we are talking about the loss of a granddaughter, and to help us through that story is Sister Jacobs Mercy. We just want to thank you for joining the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you very much. Who is Mercy? People may want to know who we are talking to.
Okay. I'm Mercy, married to Jack Jacobs, with 5 grandchildren. I worked at the Seventh-day Adventist dental practice for 32 years and recently moved to work at the Union, Zimbabwe West Union Conference. I work under the Women's Ministries Department and the Youth Department.
Thank you. It's a whole lifetime you've served in the dental practice.
And I've enjoyed every moment.
Every moment of it. And now you spoke about your grandchildren. There are 5 of them. Maybe just talk about each one of them briefly.
Kieran Jacobs. Kieran is currently studying in New York. He got a scholarship. He's 21 years old. And he's coming home soon, the 12th of May. I think it's a summer break. He'll be home for a holiday. We're looking forward to that. My second grandson is Dalen. Dalen stays with his mum in Barham Green. And then there is Christian, a little live wire.
Okay.
A lot of people know him. If you see him, there's never a dull moment around Christian.
Okay.
He's staying with me. He's 7 years old.
Okay.
And I have Cruz. He's in Johannesburg with his mother. He's turning 7 now in June. Also a very live wire. Lovely little boys as well. And then I have a little baby girl, granddaughter. She's 1 year, 7 months. A lovely little girl. Beautiful children.
Thank you very much.
Did I say how many are they now? Are they 5?
No, I think they are 5, yes. I think they are 5. Now there is this little daughter, Analia. There is a time that you had the news of the pregnancy. Maybe you want to talk about it?
My son and his fiancée were living in Johannesburg and advised us that his fiancée was expecting a baby. There was lots of excitement in the air because this was the first granddaughter. Initially, there was just the 2 boys.
Yes.
And so they were expecting a girl. There was lots of excitement, lots of buzzing. And when the news came that baby was finally born, and I decided to travel to Johannesburg to go see baby. There was a lot of excitement about receiving a girl in the family. Yes. She was born in Joburg Gen Hospital.
So it seems, because this was a granddaughter, it seems the connection became...
It became so strong, and it even became stronger because she was born prem. She was born at 7 months. So I think because of that, the connection between us and my longing to see her, to hold her, to have her was so strong. Yes.
So you only managed to go to Joburg when she was born, or
after she was born?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Your anticipation towards her birth, how was it like?
Being a mother who had to wait 9 months before having her own, it was like each day was taking too long. Yeah, I wanted to be closer. I wanted to be closer to the mother. I think I wanted to be so much more like a mother here, and I think she was getting a bit annoyed with me because it was like I had so much to say, so much to do, so much advice to give her. But I think each mother wants to go through something themselves. But as a granny and as a mother, I really wanted to be just all over.
All over.
And have a lot of do's and don'ts. Don't eat this, don't drink that, don't take that. So it was kind of slow for me to wait until I could get to South Africa.
And there is that moment when you saw her, when you locked her, your eyes on her. How was it like?
Yeah, it like I said, it was sad, it was happy, it was, this is actually part of me as well. Bone of my bone as well, my flesh, my little girl. It was now mine.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Soon after the break, we'll hear more on Analia's story. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to the show, Painful Goodbyes. I'm still with Sister Mercy, and she is relating how close they were with Analia. And now, when you got there, there is this sad, happy moment that you had, and you expressed how joyous and sad you were. Maybe let's add a bit more on that as we continue.
Yeah. When I arrived at the hospital, they told me visiting hours was strictly for the parents. Baby Analia, can I just call her Nali in short? Because that was the name she was known by all the time. When we got there, we were led to the ICU ward where Analia was kept in an incubator. She was born a prem, 7 months.
Okay.
And most of her organs had not developed. So they needed to keep her in the incubator. And that's why, for me, it was a sad and a happy moment. I was happy the baby was there, the baby was alive. I was sad in the fact that she was not full term. Her lungs had not fully developed. And as time and tests went on, they told us that baby had a hole in the heart. She had a defect in the heart, and they needed to keep her longer in the incubator so as to allow her organs to fully develop. I wasn't allowed to pick her up, but after much negotiating with the nurse, they did finally allow me into the hospital ward, into the ICU ward. The parents had to wait outside. I got into the ward and I just connected with her. There was a little hole opening on the side of the incubator. I managed to put my hand in and she held onto my finger. To me, she looked like a little fighter in that cubicle, in that ICU cot of hers. And she just would have her arms going, her little feet going, kicking, and like a fighter, she was strong. It was sad in that I just couldn't pick her up and hold her close to me. But just the few moments I was given with her were so precious. We just connected, I bonded, I felt, you know what, I really do want this baby. And in those few seconds, I committed her unto the Lord and prayed and thanked the Lord for the life that I was holding in my hands. It was a beautiful moment. I did manage to go in with my camera, my cell phone, and just quickly
get the
snap
pictures.
a few pictures of her, you know, and she had an operation all the way. They had cut open her, you know, her abdominal, and I think to do the little finer operations. But I mean, at that little tender age, when I saw her, she could have been about a week old or so, and they told us that she needed to be in ICU at least for a month. And there was no ways I could stay in Joburg. I was working. I needed to be back home with the family. But I was there for my son and his fiancée to give them the support, the encouragement that they needed during this trying time. We never knew if next day or the next minute baby would make it. Everything was just so tender, so fine. You know, there was no promise to say she would be still alive tomorrow or the next time I saw her. I did spend a couple of days in Joburg.
So maybe whilst you're at that, thinking about no promise of a better life, what did that do to you every day as you were thinking about?
For me, I knew who held the future of this baby in their palm of their hands. And I knew I had to trust in God. Yeah, the doctors did say, look, there was no hope, no chance for her. But it didn't crush my spirits. It increased my hope that this baby is going to live. I had the hope that she was going to live. And as each day progressed, I realized, hey, we've come this far. Day 1, day 2, and every day it's like she increased with a little gram, and they would give her a little dropper of milk. So there was hope for me in that. I didn't even want to think about to say there was no hope.
And then your kids, for you, there was hope. I don't know about your kids.
No, they believed strongly that there was hope that Nali was going to live. Everybody had that blessed hope. There were too many people praying, and I believed in prayer. I believe in the power of prayer. Back home in Zimbabwe, people were praying. Where I worked, people were praying. The church was praying. And we had the hope that Nalia would live. Yeah.
Thank you. And then there came this time when they discovered this illness that was there. Take us through that process.
Yeah, after many tests, they discovered that Analia had the hole in the heart. It was devastating for us to say, okay, this is a condition she's going to have to live with. Doctors had told us that she will not live beyond 1 year. That also was devastating, but we had to keep holding on to say we've got the hope that Nali is going to live. She continued to strengthen every day, but there was always that dark cloud that Analia has got a problem. As time progressed, eventually she was discharged. After 1 month or so, 6 weeks, she was discharged from hospital. I was not there, but I periodically would fly down to Joburg and be there with the mother, with the father, to assist. But it was amazing to watch the change that had come over her from that lifeless little baby in the incubator and watch her now be able to sit up and develop every day gradually. It was a beautiful process. And she was still going for checkups. Doctors were still skeptical about her condition and kept reminding us she might not make it to a year. After a year, Analia had grown. She had started walking. She was starting to talk. And then I negotiated with the parents, please allow me to take Analia to Zimbabwe. Of course, there was a lot of talk. They said, Mom, her doctors are not there. She's under specialists here at Joburg Gen. But they realized that it would have been better for her to come home with me to Zimbabwe. I remember putting her in the car seat, driving home to Zimbabwe. She was happy. She was a happy baby. She was close to me. I was close to her. We had that bond. I think at times she never knew who her mother was. It was either myself or, if I was not there, she knew that was her mom. But when I was there, she full-time wanted me. And we came to Zimbabwe. She adapted well. I would fly maybe once a month to Johannesburg, get her checked out. She was growing so well. Her clinic card, her records, her rate of her growth was improving. Okay. She was doing well. But until about maybe 2 years, she started developing complications. You could see the blue around her mouth, the blue on her fingertips, that she was struggling to breathe. I would go to Galen House Casualty. They would nebulize her, give her oxygen. We report back again to Joburg. There was a professor that was treating her, and they said she needs an operation. You know, the time is coming when she really did now need the operation to close the hole in the heart. She was getting tired. She struggled to walk. And that made me want to protect her more. I can't even tell you the number of times she had been in a hospital. She now knew even from the smell, just when we entered the hospital doors. And when she could now start talking, she would start saying, no, I don't want to go there. And she'd show us, the doctor pricked me here. The doctor pricked me here. All over her body, she had marks where the doctors were trying to get into. She had so many tests done. The echo tests, x-rays done. They monitored her along the way to make sure that she was okay. I remember coming home to Zimbabwe, and the phone call came, a phone call I never ever wanted, to say Analia needs to be here in 2 days' time. We need to operate on her. And we had to fly. We had to fly back to Joburg, book her in. I remember leaving her with her parents because I couldn't wait. I had to come back here. Left her behind, jumping on the bed. You know, being a child, expecting the best. Come back home. It was Easter weekend. My husband and I decided, let's go back and visit. Got there to Joburg. She had an operation. An operation which should have taken 1 hour. Took something like 5-6 hours. You know, and you're sitting in the waiting room and no one is saying anything to you. You can see something is amiss. People are walking up and down. Nurses, doctors, trolleys of oxygen. So much was happening, you know, it was so confusing. And eventually they did call us to say, you may come and visit her. We got to her hospital bed, watched her come out of her anesthetic sleep and all that. And every day we visited her for the short time we were in South. I'm just summarizing briefly, because too much happened for me to go into so much detail. But I remember, like on the 10th day after her operation, or even before the 10th day, let's just say day 6, I noticed her body was swelling. Her face was swelling. The monitor for her heart just didn't seem to be reading well. And we kept calling the nurses. But you know, sometimes the more you worry these nurses and doctors, the more they tend to get annoyed with you. And she wasn't eating. I remember trying to talk to Analia, and she would turn and face the other way, like she was angry with me, like I had dumped her. I had just gone to South Africa and left her and gone back. Because by now Analia was about 2.5 years old. And she just wouldn't want to look at me. I kept begging her, taking pictures of her, you know. My phone is just full of pictures of Analia, the beautiful memories I had with her. And the day we were supposed to fly out, on the 19th of April, to come back to Zimbabwe, my son called and said, Analia's not doing well in hospital. She's like convulsing. She's coming out foam from the mouth. She's not doing well. And I said to my husband, there's no ways we're going back to Zimbabwe. We immediately went straight to Joburg Gen. They said, wait in the waiting room. We waited, 1 hour can be like 10 hours, but I know we did wait a very, very long time. Waiting to see her. I called a pastor from Joburg, please come quickly, come and anoint the baby, come and pray with the baby, come pray with us. And I mean, like maybe after 5 hours, the doctor calls us into his surgery and says, I'm sorry, Analia didn't make it. Do you know, it was like a distant voice talking to me. I couldn't hear you. I could hear myself screaming, but I couldn't hear her. It just happened too quickly. I didn't get that chance to say goodbye, Nali. I didn't get that chance to hold her. And it was devastating.
So sorry about how it actually occurred. And soon after the break, we will continue with this story. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to the third and final segment of the show, Painful Goodbyes. You spoke about how the loss occurred, and it must have been a very painful experience. And now I'm thinking about how you are able to cope with this loss.
It's not easy. At the moment, I have another 2 grandchildren with me from after Analia's passing away. It's like sometimes we expect the little girl to be Analia again, but we have to remember that the little baby I have now, who is 1 year, 7 months, is her own individual. She's a completely different character. Coping, I love music. It speaks to me a lot. Praying, having the right people to counsel me, to pray with me. I love reading. I read a lot, and I have to be careful the books I read, especially talking on the state of the passing of a loved one, state of the dead. I love fishing. It does something to me. My husband and I, go out a lot. We fish. And those are things I enjoy. And talking to the Lord all the time. I had a lot of questions for the Lord, and I think a lot of people go through that. The big question is, why, Lord? Why me? Why did you allow this to happen to an innocent baby? Why not take me? Why not, why take a baby who didn't live her life? But I'm thankful in that, though the doctors thought she'd not make it to 1 year or 2 years, the Lord gave us those almost 3 years with Analia, and they were beautiful moments.
Now people will walk to you and say some things that will be hurtful. What would be those things? What are those things that you experienced that they say?
It's only now as... I think every day we grow in Christ, and as you read the Bible every day, it speaks to you in many different ways. And now as we go through the book of Job, I realize that I had friends like that came to me, and some said, you know what, it was better she died. It was better she didn't live. It was better that the Lord took her now, because she would have been a burden to you. She would have suffered. I mean, the things they came up with made me question God more, made me even wonder, but why would people come and say things like that? You rather come and sit and be quiet than to just presume that it's better. How do you tell that to someone who's grieving, who's hurting, who's lost someone so dear to them, to say it's better they are not here, that the Lord allowed them to sleep now? For me, it didn't reason with me.
So a kind of minimizing the pain that you had.
Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking about the bond that you had, maybe just to follow up on that, the bond that you had with Analia. Why is it so hard to get over it? Because people will say, no, you just need to get over it. It was just a child.
I think it's harder when it's a baby. It's hard to, it's just hard to let go and act like it was okay. For me, this was a special bond. You know, we'd travel together, we'd sing together. I remember the one song Analia loved singing with me, and was, oh my darling, oh my darling, oh my darling, Nalia, you know. And she had this kind of lopsided grin, and she was just such a funny, cute little girl. You know, it's just, the years go by, but the pain doesn't go away. I think for me, I would have just wanted time to grieve. Grieve properly for Analia. But there was always that restraining. You know, it's enough, it's enough. Don't cry like that. Yes, I know we mourn like people who have the blessed hope of seeing our loved ones. I had questions coming from my children, but mommy, why? I had questions for God, but why? And then you get friends coming to tell me, no, it's okay. It's okay that she died. No, it wasn't good that she should live a life of suffering. So, yeah, the pain doesn't go away. The thoughts don't go away. I have my photos that I look at every day, and God consoles me.
Now you've transitioned to a place where you are able to talk about it. How did that happen?
I think when I first saw this advert come up on our work group to say painful goodbyes, I contacted Mr. Lule and said, you know, I've never been able to talk about this. For me, it's something I'd really love to express. Maybe there's someone out there hurting like I'm hurting. And I'm sure there are many other people, you know, hurting. And so when the offer came up for this program, I realized here's my chance to talk about Analia. But for me, the time is too short. It's compressed into 3 years, you know, so I'd love to say much more about my little granddaughter.
Yes.
But I'm thankful for the opportunity now to have been able to talk about her. And even though I didn't get a chance at that time to hold her and say, goodbye, my darling, yeah, I look forward to the resurrection morning. And that's all I could say to my children, is that Nali will be there. Will you be there? Will I be there to welcome Nali?
Thank you very much for sharing your story and taking this time to be with us. For me, Macy Jacobs, and the crew behind the scenes, it's a wrap.